Okay, so now we have the recording started, and today is July the 13th, and oh, we lost one. Yeah. July the 13th, and I, as usual, will start with a prayer. I will just play the video. Do we have a volunteer? No? Can you guys hear? Okay.
Yeah.
So just close our eyes, relax our bodies. Just put aside all the concerns, the thoughts, the worries, and try to focus on our Lord Jesus, His benefactors, all the spiritual guides of our families, our individual guides. Be with us today. We welcome all of those higher beings. We thank them for all the protection, and we ask their help for intuition, for clarity of thoughts, so we can understand their teachings even more, and not only understand, but keep with us those learnings, so later on we can put in practice and be of service, be of instrument of God, as using these teachings, these learnings, we help the ones in need. Stay with us, Brother Jesus. Protect our families, our family members, and the members of this group who could not be here with us today. We also ask you to help all those folks impacted by this storm, as well as everybody in the whole world that is suffering because of a nature disaster or because of any circumstances, challenges in their lives. Stay with us, Jesus, today, tomorrow, and always. And so be it.
So it is.
Okay, so, oh, what is the other one? Okay. Again, I have to talk about this because it's I don't believe in coincidence, because it's unbelievable. It's so funny the way that it happens. You know, one week I'm studying something, and the next week, then voila, I have another topic very much related to what I was, just looking at the week before. The last week we were talking about intelligence, and this week then I ran across this article, and later Divaldo Franco, actually, this Brazilian medium, he was talking about something that made me think. I will explain later. But then I was thinking about, okay, so what about intelligence versus memory? Where the memory is located? And as spiritual beings, we carry on with our memories, meaning memory is not just stuck in our brain, right? So all the information that we got, we just keep on carrying on this knowledge with us. We do not lose it. And talking about, and then I was thinking about also spiritual interaction. do we really keep, or can we grasp knowledge as we interact with other beings? Even now, you know, as incarnated folks, as we interact with other beings, are we capable of keeping that knowledge with us? So I just wanted to ask you, have you ever heard about the 100 monkey theory? Do you guys heard about? You
Yes.
know? Okay, so you know about it, right? So I don't have to uh, just so you know, it's about this experience, you know, and the monkeys in an island, and the monkeys, they learn to do such a thing, you know, a new behavior. And after that population reach out this critical mass, as they call them, everybody, all the monkeys, the same species around the globe, they started doing the same, right? So it's not new. So then I saw this video over here. Forgive me, I should have the reference of the video here in the chat, but I forgot to get the right address. I will search for it and then I will send to you all. But I will just play the video and you guys tell me.
Monkey is a
The
philosophy
100th monkey. Yeah.
named Rupert Sheldrake.
Okay,
Rupert
just skip
Sheldrake
him.
lives in England, and he has written a book, which I've been studying, called A New Science of Life. And it was voted by the American Academy of Physics as the book most likely to be burned by their academy. All right?
Yeah.
Because it is so blasphemous and absurd and silly, the notions inside of it. What Rupert Sheldrake is suggesting is that memory, which is what we can recall of all the things that have happened to us, is simply not stored in the brain. It's just not stored in the brain.
Yeah.
All kinds of physical evidence to, like where they do experiments with cutting out pieces of the brain, a lot of ways of scientific evidence of establishing this belief. Just let it in. Don't endorse it, just let it in. Don't bite off my finger. Just look to where it's pointing for a few minutes, okay? The notion is that if memory, of course, is not stored in our brain, then where is it? Right? The philosophy is very simple, that all members of a species are connected together through what they call morphogenetic fields, just very much like magnets. And these fields surround all human beings. The 100th monkey is the number. The 100th monkey. Off the coast of Japan, there's an island. And they took a group of these monkeys from one species, and they put sweet potatoes out there on the beach. And they watched the monkeys. And the monkeys began to wash the sweet potatoes in a certain way that was peculiar to this species. And they began to eat them in a way that was peculiar to this species. After a given amount of time, when a certain number of monkeys within that species began to do that, the same behavior began to crop up in monkeys of the same species on islands 200 and 300 miles away.
Yes.
Question is, how did it happen? How could that have happened? And that's, without going into all the details of that, if there is truth that all members of a species are connected, that all human beings are connected as well. And if all of us are connected in some way that we don't understand, but in fact are connected, then I'm not here to tell you that you have to be thinking positive thoughts because it'll improve your life.
Remember, Gloria?
I'm here to tell you that you have an obligation because you could be depressing somebody in Uruguay right now by thinking.
I have to pause here because this scientist, Steve Hawkins, once he said, based on his science and his studies, he said that even a single butterfly, you know, spreading the wings, it could impact in the whole universe. That's what he's talking about. That's exactly it, right? And by the way, when he asks, so where is the memory being stored? right? So this is something for everybody, all the scientists to think, because this is a pretty much an evidence of consciousness beyond the physical body, right? Survival of consciousness. So one more data for scientific data, right? As Heising.
Yes. This is fascinating because I've been dealing with this 100th monkey now for and Rupert Sheldrake for more than 30 years. And so, and they're doing a lot of research. And scientists, neuroscientists, the consciousness is not within the brain, it is outside the
It's
brain.
outside,
And
exactly.
so it's fantastic.
Yeah, but let me keep on playing the video because it's very
Negative thoughts.
interesting, his message.
It's true. Now just think about it. Just let it in. The highest form of ignorance is to reject something you know nothing about. That's the highest form you can get to. We know so little about this whole idea. But what we do know is that when human beings begin to think in positive, healthy ways, that they reduce certain endorphins into the chemistry of your blood. This is from Anatomy of an Illness, Norman Cousins. And that when you think positive, happy, loving, laughing thoughts, there's a different chemistry that goes into your body than when you think depressing, negative, anguishing, despairing thoughts. And that thinking the way that you decide to think has a dramatic effect on your chemistry and on your physiology and on your health as a human being. And that we know that when they did the artificial heart transplants, when they were looking for all the people up in Kentucky, who they were going to pick, there were many, many volunteers because a lot of these people only have a few weeks left to live. So if they could get a few more months, they were very willing to be expended. The number one criteria was the will to live. What kind of an attitude does this human being have? How do they think? Because we do not want somebody who gives up on life, who is going to feel bad, who is going to be telling himself that he shouldn't be in this position. So as you begin to think about the possibility, here's what Ken Kais did in The 100th Monkey. He said, and The 100th Monkey is about nothing I've said so far. That's just all what I learned through my own research and my own reading and so on. The 100th Monkey is a book about nuclear war. The belief is this: if enough people on our planet think there's going to be a nuclear holocaust and believe that it's going to happen, we are going to create it by the way that we think. When a critical mass, and that's the theory, the 100th monkey, when you get to a certain number of people thinking anything, then it begins to spread to the rest of us all over our planet, and we begin to act upon those collective thoughts.
So again, he's talking about the Holocaust, the nuclear Holocaust, but actually it's for anything. Can you imagine during the pandemic, the whole world thinking negative, fear, holding all those thoughts, and then we had a bunch of people spreading videos saying, guys, let's think positive, let's think positive, because we need to kind of, move beyond this how can I say, momentum, right? This low vibration energy. So we need to move away from these low vibration thoughts. Exactly because of that, because we were attracting our fears.
The thinking is, who knows, I'm open to it, that we are not only connected to everybody who's alive,
Look,
but everybody who ever has been, and everybody who ever will be.
yeah,
That we may all in some way be
that's
connected.
logic.
So that if we want, the number one thing in the Hunger Project is that we are trying to raise the consciousness of the world, to help people to understand that starvation is something we cannot tolerate any longer. We won't have it. We won't think of it as something that is inevitable. What is happening now is people are beginning to say, what can I do? How can I change that? The same thing is true with nuclear war. If you want to think about raising your children, my friends, what more important parental task do you have than to make sure that our world is a place that's going to be inhabitable for our children and our grandchildren? As Victor Hugo said, there is nothing more powerful than an idea whose time has come. And we can make any idea have its time come by collectively thinking in these ways. And imagine that we're all connected like this. Imagine.
Okay, so let's move. I cannot see my, okay. So
Excuse me, Anna, who was speaking there? I didn't catch that. Who was the presenter?
Oh, yeah, I will send.
The 100th monkey.
Look for this video. The way that you decide to think has a dramatic effect.
Oh, Wayne Dyer. Oh, okay, Wayne Dyer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So it's a very nice one. And as we are studying the Spiritist book and the books from Allan Kardec, in several instances in the Genesis, I'm not going to read the whole thing over here, but in Genesis, there are lots of reference as how, this, what we just saw in terms of the 100 monkey theory and all of us being in contact with all the beings in the world, incarnated, discarnated, and how we change the reality based on our thoughts, good or bad. So Genesis, in the book of Genesis, there's several references about this, and evidently it will be all connected to the cosmic fluid and how this cosmic fluids is like an ocean. It's like we are immersed in this ocean of cosmic fluids, and how we maneuver, we manipulate, using our thoughts, etc., etc., etc. So and then at the end, in one of the sections, the Spirit says this study is essential about how we use as a spirit, how we use the cosmic fluids, and being the cosmic fluid, the basics for everything, for all the matter, all the physical stuff that we see in this dimension. So at the end, they say this study is essential for it is the key to a multitude of phenomena which are inexplicable by the laws of matter alone, because it's beyond the science that we know, right? But also I want to bring attention to something that it is in exactly the chapter that we are studying now in the Spirit's book, when Kardec asked, what is the source of intelligence? Remember that after a critical mass is achieved, then everybody else, being human or being a monkey, all the communities, they will be doing same thing. So no wonder the Egyptians, they were building the pyramids, but also the folks in America were doing pyramids as well, right? They were constructing huge buildings, and sometimes they even have the same shape for same purpose, religious purpose. No? So in the Spirit's book, they said, Kardec is asking, what is the source of intelligence? And the Spirit says, we have already told you, universal intelligence. Meaning, if we are coming from the same source, so it means that we are all connected same way. We all have the same ability to be connected with this universal intelligence. In exchange, like Wayne Dyer was saying, we are all connected with people alive, the one that has been and the one that are yet to be, right? So it's very intelligent because it's very interesting because I was thinking about, okay, so this is another proof of spiritual connection. This is another proof that yes, we evolve, we achieve maturity, not only from the intellectual standpoint, but also spiritual standpoint. But we are not alone. We do not walk alone, because the beings not alive, or the spirits in the dimension, in the other dimensions, they also keep on learning with us, right? And we are always exchanging, we are interacting with them. Anyway, I just thought it was something that, oh my goodness, this is awesome. I just wanted to share with you guys. Okay, so last time we said we were in chapter 4 for the vital principle, life and death. That's the topic. What causes the death of organic beings? And the logic answer, the exhaustion of their organs. And the following question: what happens to the matter and vital principle of organic beings after their death? Evidently, the body, the matter will decompose, but then the vital principle will return to the general mass, to the same source from where it came from. So now we have this comment from Kardec about the life and death topic. Can I have somebody reading for me so you don't have to deal with my accent?
We love your accent, and you speak English so much better than we speak Portuguese. Okay, life and death. When the elements making up the organic being die, they blend in such a manner to form new beings, which in turn draw the principle of life and activity from the universal source. They absorb it and then restore it to that same source when they die. The organs, so to speak, are impregnated with the vital fluid, which enables all the body's components to actively communicate with one another when certain injuries occur and to restore functions that have been temporarily suspended. However, when the elements essential to the functioning of the body have been destroyed or too severely injured, the vital fluid is unable to restore movement that constitutes life, and the being dies. The organs react more or less powerfully upon one another, and their mutual action results from their harmony. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. When this harmony is destroyed or disrupted in any manner, their functions cease, just as a machine stops when its essential parts are out of order, or as a clock stops when its gears are worn out or accidentally broken, and in which there is no longer any motive force to keep it running. We have a better example of life and death in an electric device. The device, like all natural bodies, contains electricity in a latent state, but the electrical mechanism is only manifested when the fluid is set in motion by a special cause. I flick the switch. When this movement is induced, the device is said to become alive, but when the cause of the electrical activity ceases, the mechanism ceases to occur, and the device is once again inert. Organic bodies are like an electric device in which the movement of the fluid produces the phenomena of life, and in which the culmination of that movement results in death. Mm-hmm. The quantity of vital fluid present in all organic beings is not the same. It varies in the different species of living beings and is not always the same in the same individual or individuals of the same species. Some may be saturated with it, while others have only very small quantities. Consequently, certain species have a more active and persistent life due to the abundance of vital fluid present in their bodies.
Do you see now why we have healers, for example? The mediums that can do the hands-on healing path, and immediately you feel the heat, you feel the energy just flowing towards to you, right? So that's what it is. Yeah, sorry, keep on.
It's the direction of vital fluid in the healing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The vital fluid contained in a given organism may be exhausted and become insufficient to support life unless it is renewed by the absorption of substances that contain it.
Thus, the miracles that the folks in the past used to say, oh my goodness, that guy is a healer, you know, that's a miracle because the person was almost dying. Well, science can prove everything. So I just put some pictures of energy healing just so we keep in mind, you know, that's what it is. It's about the vital principle. The quantity of that energy that one can hold sometimes is a lot because it's a mission or a condition, whatever, but always there is a very logic answer. And then, okay.
The vital fluid may be transferred from one individual to another. For those who possess copious amounts, it may be given to someone else who is deficient. In certain cases, this may rekindle the vital flame when on the verge of being snuffed out.
Yeah.
Okay, question.
Mm-hmm.
If individual A has got copious amounts and then does a healing on individual B, is individual A drained?
If the individual A, go ahead, say that again.
The healer. If the healer gives fluids, has copious amounts. See, I thought the cosmic fluid came through the individual, but this is saying that the individual has copious amounts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
but yeah,
through.
Okay, so two things. We are talking about when you channel, right? When you channel, yes, there is a source of cosmic fluid that you can channel and send to somebody else. That's what we do, for example, when we pray, right? But the other way of doing this, if you have copious amounts, and then you can donate, like we donate blood, for instance. I do not channel blood, you know, I hold the blood in me, and then I can donate it. You see what I'm saying? So and this is the vital principle. This is the energy that I have. It's something that I have in my body. But I can also, as a medium, or, you know, because my heart is prepared, because my will, because I'm asking, I'm involved, I'm connected, I can channel energy through the main source to somebody else. That's two different things. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So what it's saying here is we all have this amount of energy. It's not going to be the same for everybody, and it will be proportional to the extent of life. To, you know, if in your life plan, you are supposed to be living for 80 years, then you have a battery that will last for 80 years. But if you were supposed to have a short life and live for 40 years, you have, you know, this battery that will help you for 40 years. This is just saying something else, actually. If by any reason we anticipate our death, because suicidal, because the way that I handle my body is not a healthy one, I'm not responsible for any reason, or I risk my life way too often. If I die, that vital principle will not go away all of a sudden, because I violated, you know. It's like, can you imagine the consciousness is not in the body, but the body still has some energy, some vital energy. Meaning there will be a time for you to get used to, as a spirit, there will be a time for you to exhaust that. And then you can move on. That's how it is. That's how they explain what happens when people, for example, something happens and they died out of an accident and they were not supposed to die that soon. There is a period of confusion, transition, and it is like they have to exhaust that extra energy they still have. And then there is another incarnation. I can't remember right now the story of this guy. He was a Brazilian scientist, and he used to put his life in risk way too often. As consequence, he died. No, he committed suicide. He was a suicidal guy. But he still had like 10 more years or 15 more years before his death. So what happened was, he right after his not right after, but after his death, there was a period of confusion, etc., etc. It's a very thorough book. I'm just keeping short. And after being helped by other beings, friends of that guy, they planned an incarnation for him to not reborn again, but at least it was this lady, she got pregnant, but they knew the pregnancy will not be complete. The child will not, come to life. But that period, in a human body was sufficient to at least harmonize his structure as a spiritual being. Once he got to that stage, now was time to prepare for another reincarnation, and then he did incarnate in a family. It was very well accepted child, etc., etc., but he lived for only 15 years. Because it was exactly the time for him to exhaust that extra energy, that vital principle. So it took him all that long to complete, and finally it was time for him to plan a new incarnation. But this time for him, it was the type of incarnation that, okay, so now we are moving forward, because all this time since your death as a suicidal, it was just trying to recover, just trying to harmonize again your spirit, and now you are in condition to reincarnate again and prepare for a new life and move forward. You see what I'm saying? And it's all about this vital principle, how we, sometimes we screw up anticipating things that were not supposed to be. Okay.
Oh, Anna,
Yes.
when A gives the vital fluid to B,
Yes.
and it diminishes the fluid
does.
in A, how does A go about replenishing his own or her own vital fluid?
The explanations that I have seen. So, for example, Chico, he was very known for this type of
Healing?
healing, And the explanation in his case, all the spirits, all the guides working with him, they were responsible for replenishing, And the other thing, look, this is nice. The other thing, the other way for him to replenish, because he was doing charity his whole life, like every single day, he was going to the office, and then after working as every human being, it was the very first thing that he was doing. It was volunteerism. So he was visiting the folks in need, the poor neighborhoods, and helping them with foods. And those guys, they were so grateful. Sometimes, let me tell you, this story is very nice. Sometimes he didn't have anything to give, any food, nothing, because he was poor himself. He didn't have anything. And then in this day, he talked to his guide and said, Emmanuel, what I'm going to give? I have nothing. Today, I am empty, and I cannot go to those houses with people, so hungry people. I do not have anything. So Emmanuel said, Chico, get some bottle of water, put some water, and we'll pray, and then we'll magnetize that water. And that water, that's what you're going to serve to those folks. It will heal their body. It will heal, their spirits. It will revigorate their spirits. But every time that Chico was showing up and doing that, the folks that were so grateful, that energy was immediately replenishing him. You see what I'm saying? It
So
was...
they use the physical water to replenish the fluid that he gave out to heal.
No, he was
By
giving
the magnet, by the magnetic.
He was giving the water to the folks.
Yeah, but how did he replenish his own diminishment?
Because of their gratitude. It was their
okay.
energy.
Okay, so it's not a physical replenishment, it's a spiritual replenishment.
Exactly. Because of their energy. They were so grateful by the work that he was doing. Yeah. So that was one of the things,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
There is a story of this boy. Chico was about to talk in a spirit center. He had an appointment to a spirit center in another city, and he was late, and then he was taking the last train to visit that city. And when the train finally got, and he was right there with his step, his foot on the train, he heard this child screaming loud his name and say, Chico, crying out, Chico, Chico, hey, Chico. So Chico was able to hear that child. And then he said, oh my goodness, I'm so late, I cannot stop, because this is my last train. And he decided to talk to the child instead of, moving forward with the train. He's decided to talk to the child. And then the train was gone. He missed the train. He missed his appointment. And then the child just came and was running towards him, and then gave him a hug and said, oh, Chico, Chico, thank you so much. I love you from the bottom of my heart. I love you. And the mother of that child was there with him. The mother was explaining, Chico, I do not know what it is, but this child just loves you so, so much. And then Emmanuel came and said, Chico, you did the right choice. If you were gone with that train, nothing would change in your life. But because you decided to stay, and you decided to hug or, be hugged by this child, the love of this child is so profound that actually replenished you with enough energy for 10 more years. Can you imagine?
Beautiful story.
It is, and Chico used to say that it was himself. It was not somebody else. It was himself saying, because he was, remember, Chico was struggling with his health, for his whole life. He had angina. Is that how we call it? Angina. This
Angina.
angina. He had angina. He had glaucoma. He had blood pressure issues. He had so many kidney issues. He had so many healthy issues. And despite all of those challenges, he lived a very long life. So, and remember,
Yeah, he really did.
He used to sleep like for 2, 3, 4 hours a day only, because he was writing books all the time.
Yeah. What
And
page are you on in the book?
in this book,
Yeah.
I don't know, because I'm following the electronic version, but it's on chapter 4, vital principle, and this probably is the question 76, I guess. When is intelligence an attribute of the vital? No, 71. Yeah. So the spirits that were asking, so not the spirit, but Kardec was asking, is intelligence an attribute of the vital principle? And evidently no, since plants live and do not think, they only possess organic life. Intelligence and matter are independent one another. Again, is another thing, consciousness is, has no need for a body. A body may live without intelligence, but intelligence can only manifest itself through physical organs. Evidently, a body may live. I mean, we see that the animals, they do not have intelligence, they have instincts, right? But the intelligence can only manifest itself through physical organs, of course. Living matter can only be made intelligent when united with a spirit, right? So it is the question 71. So that's why I brought this. Why? Oh yeah. That's why I brought this chart again. Remember, so we have the universal cosmic fluid through different combinations. Then we can have a perispirit from it, vital fluid, raw matter. And the vital fluid and the raw matter, they can be animated matter, like the plants, right? And the plants, evidently, the plants, they will react to the environment, right? They will respond to music, they will respond to the sun, right? To the heat, etc. But that is more like an instinct. Now, when we have a spirit connected to that animated matter, now we have intelligence. So spirit is actually, intelligence is actually, it is actually an attribute of the spirit, right? So, and then I used to have like a human being over here, and then I changed my intelligent being because, that's silly to think that only us can be intelligent. To me, the whales, oh my goodness, they are so intelligent. The dolphins, the dogs, they are very intelligent. So my official reader, would you please read the comments?
Intelligence is a special faculty belonging only to certain classes of organic beings that gives these beings the power to think the will to act, the consciousness of their existence and individuality, and the means of establishing relations with the external world and fulfilling their unique needs.
See that he mentions the will to act. When you think, when you have consciousness about what you want to do, right? The will to act. Yeah, okay, thank you. Next.
We may therefore distinguish the following. Inanimate beings, solely matter, without life or intelligence, the bodies of the mineral world. Non-thinking living beings, made up of matter and endowed with vitality, but not intelligence. And living and thinking beings, made up of matter, endowed with vitality, and possessing an intelligent principle that gives them the faculty of thought.
See, so mineral, vegetables, and animals, right? So animal kingdom. So, but no matter what, they're all beings, they're all part of the creation. They are in the different stages only, right? It's like oh. So what is the source of intelligence? Evidently, universal intelligence. And that's why I was saying, guys, there is a difference why we see those eyes over there and these eyes like something is missing, but this is showing a presence, right? So these guys is probably they're closer to what this universal intelligence is feeding them. Okay, so intelligence and instinct. That's the topic now. It is correct. Is it correct to say that every intelligent being draws intelligence from universal source and absorbs it, as it draws and absorbs the principle of material life? Can we have an idea what that might be? Can we say that we actually absorb some intelligence from?
Yes, I think so. I think we definitely absorb intelligence.
We were created.
Universal source, yes.
Yeah, we were created simple and ignorant. However, the same as, like it says in the Bible, the same image as the creator, something like this.
Created, well, that's a sore point with me. Created in God's image. So they say that we look like God. Now, as far as I'm concerned, God does not have a physical body. He is.
Yeah. We cannot think about from a materialistic standpoint. When we think about this, we have to think from a spiritual standpoint. Well, that to me says we one day will have the same abilities, we'll be gods. And as a matter of fact, Jesus said, you know, we are gods, right? In our age, we just do not have the maturity to reach our potential.
Well, what Stephen said was that made in God's image, as an artist images a painting before he paints it.
Yeah, I like that.
And that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I like that. Yes. So, is it correct to say that every intelligent being draws intelligence from a universal source? This would be an inaccurate comparison. Intelligence is a faculty possessed by each distinct being, which constitutes its moral individuality. In any case, we have told you that there are beings that human beings are unable to fathom. For the time being, this is not one of them. Remember, Gloria, when you mentioned something or somebody who were in contact with beings that never incarnated and didn't need to, right? So I think that's what they were talking about. So from the moment that we are created, then we have an individuality. So we have our own potential to develop. That's our mission, to develop, to accomplish maturity, not only from the intellectual standpoint, but also a spiritual standpoint. And one day we will reunite with the source of creation. So that's how it is right there. So is instinct independent of intelligence? Now, that's the question. And the answer is no, not exactly, because it is a type of intelligence. Instinct is unreasoned intelligence by which all beings satisfy their wants. So it is a stage. It is like the pre-stage of intelligence. Because of the instinct that we fear, we know how to evolve certain habits to protect our lives, right? So it is a form of intelligence. And as a matter of fact, I brought this graphic over here just to remind us all that our brain is divided into this first portion over here. Oh, sorry. This first portion over here, and especially this one, prefrontal cortex, that's where all the reason, all the rational thoughts they come from, is they are elaborated in this area, as opposed to this other area right here that's in the very back of our brain. It is responsible for our instincts. So when we fear, when we have these actions based on self-preservation, where's my mouse? This is the area that will kind of glow in the tests, in the exams, in the images, as opposed to rational thoughts. Then this is the area that will glow more when we are thinking, rationalizing something. So this is the basis for our intelligence. When we have reasons, we have rational thoughts, and when we fear, when we are facing fear, etc., then this is the area that we are in contact. That's where the instinct is. In the animals, that's why we have this area more developed and this area less developed. And then little by little, we start switching this. And by the way, size is not a matter of anything, because look at the size of this gland, which is the basis for mediumship, right? It's all that you need is a very tiny little thing, and there you go. You have all the mediumistic phenomena happening. Okay, so can a line be drawn between instinct and intelligence, precisely defining where one ends and other begins? To me, it's so hard to say, because, look at the evolution. We really do not know when we start becoming intelligent, right? No, because they often blend together until today. Let me go back to this. Guess which area the whole world was using when we were living the pandemic, or this past week, Houston was living through the storm. We were here. We were all here. But, in good times, and then we relax, and now we have time to to think on more intelligent things. But in difficult times and hardship times, that's the area that we'll be using. So no wonder the spirits, they're saying no, because they often blend together. However, the actions belonging to instinct and those belonging to intelligence are easily distinguished, and that makes sense. They come from different areas and they have different bases. They have different triggers, right? Now, let me... Is it correct to say that the instinctive faculties taper as intellectual faculties develop? You think so? Yeah.
But we always have instinctive faculties, don't we?
We always, yes, we always. Exactly. Instinct always exists, but humans dismiss it. We think we are so intelligent that we neglect, we do not pay attention to sometimes what our instincts are saying, right? Instinct, like reason, may lead us in the right direction. It always guides us, and sometimes even more surely than reason. It never goes astray. I remember this story. It was an airplane incident. I cannot precise right now if it happened in US or elsewhere, but it was this plane. They had an incident when the airplane was on flight in the air, and then the pilot decided to land. The first area that it was safe to land, the pilot did. But at that point, when he finally got to the ground, and the airplane was good, nothing happened to the airplane, but there was this motor that was smoking really bad, and the smoke was getting inside of the aircraft. By then, the aircraft landed. It was safe. So because it was safe, everybody was calm. But one lady, this lady, she was so terrified that instead of waiting for the folks in front of her, she was just jumping over the seats. And because of that, she was the first one to get out. And she was the only survivor because she didn't breathe that smoke that it was extremely detrimental to the lungs. She was the only survivor. It was her instinct. She was terrified. As opposed to the other folks following the reason. Okay, we landed. It's just smoke, but that's okay. I can just, and it is amazing. I from the moment I was told this story, I hold forever, because that reminds me, sometimes instincts, yeah, they keep you alive.
So but the mask, the oxygen mask didn't come down. Smoke I would think would trigger the oxygen mask to
Yeah, but at this time they were ready to leave. They were ready to leave. They were not inside, so they were not supposed to be inside. They had the ramp there, so they were about to leave. So everybody was standing up and just waiting for the moment to leave. This lady, she didn't wait anybody. She didn't wait anybody to tell her, okay, it's time for you to leave. She just...
Wow.
Yeah.
Boy, she must wonder. I wonder if she wondered, why me?
Right?
Out of all these, out of whatever it was, 100 passengers,
Yeah.
one person.
One person. Can you
Boy.
imagine that? Yeah, it's
No, I can't.
unbelievable. Yeah.
Interesting story. Thank you.
Yeah. Maria, hey, nice to see you.
Hi, nice to see you again. I'm come back finally.
Welcome back.
It's a very interesting point because when we are in the mediumistic meeting and the medium sees something that look good, something that they look good, have something in his instinct that tell to him that is not everybody is good. First, the instinct is the principal
Guide.
to say that if something is wrong. You can see the light, you can see the spirit. Maybe he is a look guy, a good
Very
guy, but
good looking.
something tell us that something, everything, one thing, a little thing is not good. And
Doesn't feel right.
The principal
Yes.
guide, the instinct.
Very good. Yeah, very good point, because this week, no, was not this week. The same week that I arrived, from vacation, I noticed something was different in my neighbor house. I do not ask me. I just felt something was different. I saw this movement. Something was different. Don't ask me why as well. I just thought of her mother, the mother who lives with my neighbor. She is an old lady. So on that night, I just opened the back door for my dog to leave, because he wanted to go to my backyard. I opened the door and then I was doing something, and by the time I came back to open the door again for him to get in the house, I was holding the knob of the door when I saw this man. It was a black tall man walking in my in the corridor, coming to the living room. Don't ask me why. It was so vivid image that to me it was natural to see a person, it is a person walking in the house. It took me, I want to say, about 10 seconds to realize, oh gosh, I'm here by myself, so who is this person? But for 10 seconds, it was natural. And for 10 seconds, like Maria was saying, my instinct was telling me it is not something that I should fear. He was there telling me something. And he probably did, because immediately, guess what? Immediately, I thought about my neighbor and her mother. And immediately I knew, okay, her mother just passed. I went to my bedroom and I did my prayer, said my prayer for him. And guess what? This week, I was walking the dogs several times during the day, because the house, inside the house was unbearable, was too hot. So we were most of the time outside walking. I met my neighbor, she was doing the same thing. It was way too hot in her house. And then the very first thing that she said, she met me, she saw me and said, oh, Anna, my mother died. And how could I say, yeah, I knew it.
You can say,
It was something. But anyway, when I saw that guy, and probably it was her husband. That's the very first thought in my mind. It was not her. It was a husband asking, can you please say a prayer and help us? Because he knew probably that every time that I do my radiation prayers, every time that I do my prayers over here, I do not pray for my family, for myself, for my house. I pray for the whole neighborhood. And evidently, especially my neighbors, in the street. So probably he was looking for whoever was readily available for a prayer that moment. Right? Gloria, please, you have a...
Yeah, I think with what you had on the screen, if I substituted the word intuition for instinct, then yeah, is it correct to say that our intuitive faculties taper as intellectual faculties develop? And what occurred to me was I think they get masked by our socialization in Western society. And when I see the word instinct, I'm thinking more like an animal, fight or flight. And so I would say, is it correct to say that instinctive faculties like fight or flight taper as we learn more? I think they do. I think we react to things more intelligently instead of instinctively. In other words, we don't fight or flight. We stop and think and pause before, whereas an animal would act instinctively. And so that's why I was confused with that, because intuitively, intuition always exists.
Always, yes.
Yeah, and so the word intuition works better for me in that explanation than the word instinctive. I found that confusing. So I think I understand better now that you've explained it. And I would say, yes, our intuition never leads us astray. It's always, but instinct, I have been known to fight or flight. And it has led me astray. And I'm learning to pause. So that one, I think it's just the languaging, and maybe in Portuguese, it has a different meaning, but I think in English, instinctive, I associate more with being animalistic, where intuitive, I associate more with being human.
But don't you think the animals, okay, so you were thinking from the human being standpoint. Now let's think about the animals, how they can sense there is danger coming.
They have instinct, instinctively, and that works for them.
Is that instinct or is that intuition?
I don't know that. I don't know. Well, I've only.
That's a good thing for us to think.
No. Yes, I've always thought about animal instinct. So this is.
I think.
Yeah, I would have to agree with.
Einstein,
Yeah.
That is instinct.
Yeah.
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 Well,
but
it's like if you get a hot pot, you take away your hand immediately.
Because you know.
Think it's burned me, and just you take it away. You react immediately. You don't think about it.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. But so for example, there is Australia. So there is a fire somewhere like miles and miles away. But somehow the animals, they are able to sense that, and they kind of
leave.
They leave.
Yeah, or they go to higher ground if there's going to be a tsunami.
And
Exactly.
Yeah,
some dogs will have a reaction to some people because that's not a nice person.
right.
They
As-
sense it.
See, yeah, as a matter of fact, I used to use my dogs when I was in Brazil, and I was hiring somebody to take care of the kids so I could go to, back in the days we didn't have daycares for the whole day. So I used to have somebody in the house taking care of the kids so I could go to work. I used to use the dogs. The dog was always in the room. And it was my sensor for a person, to really feel the person.
Mhm.
And it was never wrong.
That's interesting.
Oh yeah, I had two sensors in the room. The first one was the child, but then it's easy just to pretend like you could. So the second one was the dog. So so let's think about this, instinct versus intuition. I will promise, Gloria, I will investigate a little bit more. I will compare the two versions between Portuguese and English. But what you said made me think. I'm gonna see if I can find something for us to discuss next time. Hi, Cynthia, you have your hand?
Yes, because in China, they look at the dogs. The dogs will tell you if an earthquake is coming, and that they see because the dogs behave in a certain way, and they know that an earthquake is coming.
Mm-hmm.
But wouldn't that be instinctual? And
You know what I think? I think that the dogs, they can sense vibrations, lower, very low vibration
They can hear higher
frequencies.
than
Yes,
we hear.
exactly.
so what would you call that?
Sense.
Ability.
Sense, ability. Yes, ability. They can sense, really. Yeah. So that's weird, but for example,
But
my
now, wait a minute, then they leave. They know to leave. They
know
sense the tremor, but then something tells them to leave, to go to a
leave.
higher ground. So what is that?
That, I think, is instinct.
Yeah, I do too, but I just,
Self-preservation.
yeah,
I'm not gonna wait to see it. I'm not gonna pay the price,
right.
right?
Right.
Mhm.
Maria, you wanted to say something, or was
Yes.
oh, sorry, I thought it.
In my way to think about it, I believe that the instinct evolve to intuition.
Evolve to intuition. Oh, yes.
Yes.
Instinct evolves to intuition.
Yes, because when we move from experiences in the animal kingdom to the human kingdom, the instinct improves through our knowledge
Through our knowledge,
in
yes.
intuition.
Mm.
We can say that the intuition is the first form of mediumship to be naturally developed by the man when he is not dependent on his instincts. I think that is a seed. The instinct is a seed to intuition.
Intuition. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So it is a pre-stage. So we have
Yes.
instinct, intuition, intelligence.
Yes.
That's a good point.
I like that, Maria. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that too. Yeah. All right, folks, it's 4:20 here in Houston.
Stay
Time
cool.
to say goodbye.
Time to say goodbye.
Okay,
Thank you.
See you next time, next Saturday, guys.
Thank
You all
you.
stay safe, okay?
Yes, right.
Excuse me, I don't move my time to go to the meeting. Excuse me, please.
No problem.